Hey there, it's Lynnette Khalfani-Cox. I'm the co-founder of AskTheMoneyCoach.com. Have you ever wondered which one of your credit reports is the most important? If so, you're certainly not alone. Well, the truth of the matter is that neither of your credit reports is especially more important than the other, except under two scenarios. One is when you're actually applying for a specific loan and a creditor is only going to pull one credit report. And the second time is when you're applying for a mortgage and the lender is most likely going to pull something called a tri-merged report. Now, let me walk you through these two scenarios. So why do I say it doesn't really matter, or it's not as important which one, the Equifax or the Experian or the TransUnion credit report, which one is more important than the other? In general, the credit bureaus try to maintain as much traditional data about you as they can gather and collect. Traditional data being your credit card payments, your student loan payments, any mortgages, home equity loans, student loans, all of that good stuff. And increasingly, some bureaus are even collecting non-traditional payment about you, stuff like your rent payments or your utility payments. That mostly works for a lot of people to their advantage. But what should you know about which credit bureau is the most important, or which credit report for you is the most important? Really, it boils down to when you're seeking a loan. So this is what you should do. Let's say you're applying for a credit card. You might ask the bank or the lender in question before you apply for the card, which credit report do you pull? Now, under that scenario, it might be more important, and indeed it likely will be, that your credit is as pristine as it possibly can be, as up to date and as accurate as it can and should be with that particular credit bureau. So if a credit card issuer, for example, tells you that, oh, we pull your Experian credit file, then you really do want to make sure that that Experian credit file reflects your true credit history, that it's up to date, that it's accurate, that it doesn't have any mistakes in it. Now, we know that a lot of credit reports do in fact have mistakes. Some consumer watchdog groups and consumer advocates have found that 70% of all credit reports have errors in them. And in some cases, those errors are significant enough to cost people a yes or a no when they're seeking credit, or in some cases to make them pay a higher interest rate than they might otherwise qualify for. So you really do want to know, hey, if you're applying for credit, whether it's an auto loan you're seeking, ask the creditor, ask the lender, which credit report do you pull? Because then in that case, that's going to be the most important one. Under other circumstances, if you're just managing your day-to-day credit, you should be doing the right credit behaviors that get reflected on all three of your credit reports, so it really doesn't matter. You should be paying your bills on time. You should be knocking down credit card debt and not maxing out your credit cards. You should be making sure that you don't apply for credit unless you really and truly need it, because you don't want those inquiries that get generated when you apply for credit to hurt your credit score. Now, what about that other time when I said it matters which credit bureau or which credit report gets pulled? It's when you're applying for a mortgage. Most lenders these days, if they're going to give you a loan for a house, which is typically going to be a six-figure loan, they want to see your credit reports from all three credit bureaus, from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So that's why those lenders will typically pull something that they use called a tri-merged report. That means they're getting all three of the credit bureau files on you. They don't just want to know, for example, what does your TransUnion record show, or what does your Equifax record show, or solely what does your Experian record show. They want to see all three across the board because they do recognize that there can be some differences. The credit bureaus have worked a lot harder in recent years to make sure that they diminish the amount of differences in your credit files. In fact, there's a credit score called the Vantage score that was developed by the big three credit bureaus because they wanted to eliminate a lot of the differences that consumers had seen in the past. They would see one credit score over here with one of the bureaus and another credit score over there, and they were trying to eliminate some of those differences and trying to make it more standard for how they code certain information and how they accurately reflect information that's contained in your consumer credit file. So the short answer is, in general terms, it really doesn't matter. No one credit bureau report is more important than the other, unless you're seeking a specific type of loan and a lender is only going to pull one of your credit files, in which case you should ask and find out, and then you check that credit report first and try to clean it up as much as you can and make sure that it's accurate. Or you're in the market for a mortgage, in which case the lender is likely going to pull all three of your credit reports, your Equifax, Experian, and your credit file with TransUnion, and they're going to do that tri-merged report that I talked about. This has been Lynnette Khalfani-Cox. Again, I'm the co-founder of AskTheMoneyCoach.com.